Hi and welcome to today's episode in which I hopefully make some very easy and quick crunchy low carb snacks. I eat a lot of crunchy carbohydrate packed snacks, and when I get to the bottom of an entire bag of rice cakes, salt and vinegar if you're interested, I start regretting my life choices. So I probably could do with learning how to not pack in so many carbs. A while ago I saw a recipe for some flaxseed tart cases and thought that would be a nice thing to try at some point. Then I started thinking, would that make a good cracker because it would be nice and crunchy? Then realised seeds are very low carb, relatively speaking, and chia seeds especially are favoured by people doing keto diets. So I'd have a go at making some crackers. In my big bowl here, I've soaked 160 grams of chia seeds, which is a cup, with 3 cups of water. Start adding some other ingredients in there just to get some more flavour, some nice textures going on. You can see they really hydrate and plump up and become kind of gloopy. I'm going to start with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to use za'atar as a flavouring in mine. This is a Middle Eastern spice blend. It's typically things like thyme, oregano, that sort of thing, and then little sesame seeds as well. Start with a teaspoon of that, and if you haven't got this, just use dried mixed herbs. Not a problem at all. I think I'll probably need more of everything, but I'd rather be cautious. And I'll do the remainder of my pot of MSG. That's about 1/4 teaspoon, just for an extra savoury kick to it. Stir this together. As the mixture was soaking, I whisked it a couple of times because you'll find the chia kind of clumps together. So you just want to break that down a little bit just to make sure everything hydrates equally. I'm going to give this a little taste. I think I'm going to double everything. Tastes fine, but I just want more flavour. You can also use flax seeds in the way that I've used the chia, whichever's cheapest, whichever you've got the most of. Chia seeds are very high in fibre, and fibre keeps you feeling fuller for longer. So I'm going to start adding some crunchy bits in here. Start with 2 tablespoons of golden flax seeds. These are also known as linseeds. I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of nigella seeds. You might also see these as black seeds. I get these from the Indian supermarket. The flavour, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit oniony, a little bit spicy. I'm also adding maybe 1/2 teaspoon of brown linseeds, and that's purely just to use the bag up. Forgot to say, I use black chia seeds. You can also get white ones. It makes 0 difference really to the flavour. 2 teaspoons of black sesame seeds, and that will go nicely with the white sesame that's in the za'atar. I'm going to do a couple tablespoons of sunflower seeds. These have got a great flavour and a really lovely nutty, toasty kind of flavour to them when you bake them. I'm adding pumpkin seeds as well, and these are quite big, so I'm just going to kind of split them down a little bit. And then we'll give this a mix. Final check for taste. I think it wants a tiny bit more salt, but I'm gonna scatter some smoked sea salt flakes on the top once I put them on the baking sheet. So I've got baking trays for support, and then I'm gonna bake them on some silicone sheets. I'm gonna invert them and do it on the flat part. I like using the silicone sheets because it's a little bit less waste intensive in terms of paper you just chuck out afterwards, but use baking paper as well, not a problem. So I guess just blob it on, kind of roughly where I want it, and then I'll smooth that back down. These need to be fairly thin in order to get them crisp. If they're too thick, it's going to take ages in the oven. I'm going to try and thin it down, move it around, just using the back of a silicone spoon. You can do these in individual crackers as well. If you want to just do like a round blob and then flatten it down, that's fine. I don't know if this mixture is going to spread if it gets hot, so that's why I'm trying to keep it somewhat away from the edges. I just don't want all this to flood out into the oven. And then just evening it off as much as I can. I might see if a pizza wheel will go through it just to score some lines in there. Of course, it might not have any positive effect, but we'll see. That's the smoked sea salt flakes I'm going to scatter over, just for an extra bit of salty flavour, bit of a smoky kick. Preheated the oven at 150°C, which is about 300 Fahrenheit. This is a fan oven, so I might have to adjust the temperature if they start going too dark. I've got like 2-3 spoonfuls left, so I'm going to do them in the air fryer just to see if it works. I mean, it will work because I've got a feeling it's going to work much faster as well. So I've done that last little bit just on a small bit of silicone. Once they finish the baking time, I'll put the mats on cooling racks, let everything cool down, and that will make it go nice and crispy, hopefully. And then we can do some eating. Crackers are all crisped up and looking brilliant. Worked really well. So here's the texture of them. That's the underneath, so you can see it goes a bit shiny from where it's been in contact with the silicone, so it's perfectly smooth. And there's the texture inside. It's kind of airy a little bit. The texture's quite open. Time to crunch on these crackers, but first we've been blessed with a visit. I'm gonna say hi to Shadow. I'm gonna say hi to YouTube. Handsome boy. Say So this one's Shadow, and then this is his brother Bam Bam. My little table lion. You gonna say hi, wee man? The texture, delightfully crispy. You can kind of see through it a little bit at the back, and the snap. Let's see what the flavor's like. That's lovely. The only problem with all those seeds is it gets all up in your teeth, but it's fine because they're tasty. The za'atar works really nicely. So if you haven't got any, have a look on eBay, Amazon, or if you've got like an Asian supermarket, Indian kind of supermarket, pop in there and see if they've got any. Any Middle Eastern store will have it, because it's got that kind of herby nus to it, but then there's also, it's a bit earthier, and then the garlic and the onion and the MSG as well kind of just sets it off really nice and rounds it into a lovely savoury little snack. They're very light, so I can imagine myself eating a load of them, but I'd suggest only eating a few until you know how they're gonna react, because you don't want to eat loads and then be like, oh, I've ate way too many, just because of the amount of fibre that's in there. Putting the other seeds in there really helps the texture, because otherwise it's going to be very light and fluffy, almost like but like a rice cake, lighter than a rice cake really. So putting the other seeds in there just gives your back teeth something to play around with, because otherwise it's just chomp chomp gone. Whereas the other bits in there, yeah, just gives it's a nice kind of snacky experience. This is the one I put in the air fryer. Yeah, it's very lacy. The air fryer one I didn't score, partly because I forgot, but also when I remembered, I realised if I cut them down smaller, there was a massive risk of them starting to dry out and then they just fly straight up into the heating element and then burning. So I would suggest keeping it in one big piece. It does mean it takes longer. You could potentially do it in quarter, you know, do one line in each direction, and that might give you enough weight still to keep it down, because you can see even that started to bend towards the end of the cooking. I did it at 110 in the air fryer, and I think I had it in there for maybe an hour and a half, maybe hour 40. I could have gone much higher. The convention with an air fryer is 20 degrees cooler and 20% shorter. I know that that convention often doesn't work, in my air fryer at least, and things burn. So I did initially think I'll do it at 135 maybe, but then I just wanted to sit down because my knees are murdering me today. So I thought I'll do it at 110 because that's nice and it's still quite an intense heat in an air fryer, because it's such an enclosed little box. It meant I could leave it in there for half an hour, come and check on it, and then I wasn't having to constantly keep an eye on it. Scoring it creates gaps in the mixture, so then it can dry out from the edge that way, but also the edges that way, so it just speeds up a little bit. In terms of variations, play around with different seeds, different spices, flavourings, that kind of thing. You could put nuts in there, so maybe some chopped walnuts, flaked almonds, that kind of thing. I'll put the Twiglop pasta chips link in the description. I made like a fat-free Marmite flavoured covering for pasta chips. That would work really nice on here, as would the toppings that I put on the polenta crisps. The parmesan and the tomato and herb especially would be great on these. If you want to keep it completely oil-free, take it out maybe 10-15 minutes towards the end of the cooking. The oven ones were in 2 hours. Take it out after 145, for example. Brush it with a bit of aquafaba, which is the chickpea, the water that's in a chickpea can. Brush that on and then sprinkle on your seasonings, and the aquafaba will help it bind to the cracker. If you're not bothered about the fat, then use melted butter. You could even use a bit of oil, that kind of thing. You could try using things like sriracha when you're doing the wet, when you've got the wet mixture, like blurt a load of sriracha in there, and that's going to give you some chili heat from the inside. I'm wondering if you could make almost like a savoury cereal bar by buying some pieces of dried vegetables. So dried carrots, maybe freeze-dried olives, dried tomatoes, that kind of thing. It's going to be more flavour, more interest going on in there as well. That go really nicely with dips, things like hummus or vegan tzatziki. I'll put a link to the dips trio that I did. I want to give a big shout out to my supporters on Patreon. You keep me and the boyos well fed, which is super welcome in the middle of a cost of living crisis, let me tell you. If you want to join up, I'll leave a link down in the description for you. You get some behind the scenes, bonus content, that kind of thing. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos served fresh to you every week. There's vegan recipes and lots of discoveries on my ongoing quest for crunchy snacks. While you're waiting for the next one, drop a like down below and then have a look at this one.